Tuscaloosa when ranked number 1. That was against Johnny Manziel and A&M 4 years ago. Kickoff is next.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Push button, get mortgage. And Chick-fil-A, we didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich.
Alabama trying to make it an FBS best 17 consecutive wins. Jalen Hurts, true freshman quarterback, facing Kentucky. With more, here's Tom Luganville.
Well, as Alabama is set to receive tonight, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch the continued evolution of this offense under Lane Kiffin. Of course, Nick Saban, how they develop their players and their quarterbacks. But with Jalen Hurts' talent level, you want to utilize his legs. You want to see some of the zone read stuff. That's why the young freshman brings a dynamic to this offense that Nick Saban hates to defend, but finally has on his sideline.
Lane Kiffin, the offensive coordinator in his 3rd season, says you have to these days with all the run-pass options now that the spread offense gives you. You have to do that. Along with, of course, the pro stuff that you talked about, Tom. Alabama won the toss and will receive, so Austin McGinnis will kick off. Kentucky has never won in Tuscaloosa. Ball falls off the tee. No wind, really, on the field. We were down there before. Beautiful night. Temperature in the high 70s. Marks and Dieter are deep for the tie. And it's Marks coming up to the 8-yard line to receive it. And he's past the 25-yard line, tackled at the 28. A lot of news for Alabama this week. Blake Barnett, the backup quarterback who actually started the season opener, left the program this week. He's going to transfer. And then Tim Williams, their outstanding linebacker, was arrested Thursday for allegedly carrying a gun without an Alabama permit. We're told he does have a permit for Louisiana. And we'll see if Williams plays. Nick Saban said he doesn't announce suspensions, but the sense we got was that there would be internal discipline, but probably not discipline in terms of playing time. But we'll see. And there's the new backup, Cooper Bateman, you saw. Here's O.J. Howard on the catch, and he keeps his feet, picks up a first down past the 40-yard line. Jalen Hurts from the Houston area, son of a coach. He's the first true freshman in over 30 years to start at quarterback for Alabama.
He has such a great feel for the position. Obvious arm talent, great athleticism, but like we said in the open, his poise and demeanor is what really jumps out.
They hand it off to Calvin Ridley here, and Ridley is into Kentucky territory, pushed out of bounds at the 40-yard line. That's an 18-yard scamper for Calvin Ridley.
Couple early completions for Jalen Hurts, one to the left. Now, a little jet sweep trying to get Calvin Ridley involved early. The first play went to O.J. Howard. Both those guys haven't been as explosive as we thought they might be. Imagine Lane Kiffin, the offensive coordinator, trying to get them involved early and make them featured in the game plan.
So first down at the Kentucky 40, and they're going to give it to another receiver. This is Cam Sims. He's planted for a 1-yard loss by Josh Allen.
So guys, if you go back to a couple of weeks ago, this Alabama coaching staff was taking a lot of heat for the lateral offense, the jet sweep motion. But understand, that's exactly what I was talking about earlier. That opens up the inside run game and the quarterback run game when you strain the perimeter with the skill.
So second down and 11. Here is true freshman Joshua Jacobs, and he gets maybe a couple of yards. There have been some great running backs. Obviously, Greg, you played with two of them here in Mark Ingram and Trent Richardson, and they think Josh Jacobs could end up being a very good one as well.
He's very special, very quick, very sudden. Has a good sense of getting north-south, but can still wiggle. They really believe in where he's going to be. He's obviously early in his career, not a ton of opportunities, but there'll be plenty more to come as he continues to grow at the position.
And right now, Damian Harris is in a running back. He was injured last week in their win against Kent State. But he gets the call here and dives, but will come up short of the first down and 3rd and 9. We'll see if Alabama decides to go for it here early in the game inside the 35-yard line. Looks like they will. Be 4th and 2.
And in comes big number 9, Bo Scarborough. He's the short. Oh, now he's coming out. He went in, came back out. Joshua Jacobs looks like he's going to be the running back here on an important 4th and 1 here for the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Is this the right call early on?
It is. At this point, you got momentum. The fans are into it. Drive's moving pretty good. I like the call here early on.
And there was some movement on the right side of the line, so a penalty flag.
False start. Offense. Number 73. 5-yard penalty. Remains 4th down.
And this is the right tackle, Jonah Williams. He's been absolutely outstanding. Just getting a little bit of a head start. Looks like they're going to have a quarterback designed run right downhill. Jonah Williams has been exceptional early on in his career. They believe that he will eventually develop into a first-round pick at the tackle position.
This is surprising. They're going for it on 4th and 7. They must not have a lot of faith in their kicker, although Adam Griffith can get it done. Maybe they're trying to get, no, they're going to run the play here. Hurts with time, going to air it out, and it's dropped. Wide open was Cam Sims. It was an easy pitch and catch. Instead, Alabama turns it over on downs. So Nick Saban decides to go for it, and it was there. A little behind Sims, but still should have caught it. And Kentucky will be on offense, and we come back. No score early on here in Tuscaloosa. And then you're getting that sense it's Tennessee's year when that kind of stuff keeps happening. Downs, first play for Kentucky from scrimmage, and it's a big hole for Boom Williams. Close to a first down. Our quarterback for Kentucky from California, Stephen Johnson. He started out at Grambling, then transferred to a junior college, and then he stepped in for an injured Drew Barker against New Mexico State, played well, and then in his first career start beat South Carolina last week. Dual threat quarterback. He leads the team in rushing attempts. And he's only thrown one pick. First down run play and nowhere to go. Take a look at tonight's impact players, brought to you by Chick-fil-A.
When you look at this Alabama defense, so incredibly athletic. Ryan Anderson on the edge. Tim Williams gets a lot of hype, but Ryan Anderson's been the more consistent player this year. And Reuben Foster at linebacker, unbelievable sideline to sideline. And Luke's Minka Fitzpatrick, he'll play nickel most of the night tonight. He's really doing a great job in the secondary.
The most versatile defensive back they have from a coverage standpoint, number 29.
Johnson a throw here on 2nd and long, and it's pulled in. Into Alabama territory is tight end C.J. Conrad. That'll put Kentucky in 3rd down and short.
And this has been the guy that Stephen Johnson's really relied on. Had 3 touchdowns a few weeks ago. Getting Conrad involved early, it's going to be important because he's kind of a matchup nightmare. Do you cover him with a safety or a linebacker? He's a big boy.
3rd down and a yard, and they're going to throw it here. Johnson, and the catch is made for a first down. Taven Richardson, a freshman, with Marlon Humphrey, a future first-round pick, draped all over him.
It's a great throw. I mean, if you're going to play against Alabama's defense, you have to be able to be accurate in tight coverage. These wide receivers for Kentucky are very underrated. They're going to have a tough time separating consistently, but when they do, it's going to be up to Johnson to hit him in stride.
Got a stoppage of play for an injured Alabama player. It's Dalvin Tomlinson, who's had knee problems before. He's had a couple of ACL injuries. Very important player up front for Alabama.
ESPN College Football is presented by Hampton by Hilton. Book at Hampton.com for a guaranteed discount. And in part by Buick, proud partner of the NCAA.
This is homecoming week, and you were telling me this is called homping, where they decorate the lawns with colored tissue paper. What's this all about?
Yeah, they actually grade those, and all the sororities, they'll get points towards the end of the year celebration. So, nice job by the Chi Omegas there.
Alabama 35-yard line. Here's Williams, powers forward to the 29. So that's a gain of 5 yards for Stanley Boom Williams, who comes in third in the SEC in rushing, averaging 116 yards per game.
He's a home run threat. You see 7.9-yard average. When he gets the football, you have to tackle because he will make the first guy miss. And then when he gets in the open field, he'll turn on the jets and flat out fly to the end zone.
JoJo Kemp is in there now. He's going to take the direct snap here on 2nd down and 6. Kemp looking for a running lane, and he gets grabbed at the 27-yard line by Sean Dion Hamilton. So it's going to bring up a 3rd down for Kentucky.
Greg, a lot of spread thin formations for Kentucky right here, trying to get Alabama to have to walk out number 4, Eddie Jackson. Even the outside linebackers walk them out over the slot to try and get a numbers advantage. It's the only way they can play in the run game versus Alabama.
And Boom is hurt. He's on the sideline. Johnson in trouble, and it's incomplete. Oh, he had a man too. Ryan Anderson got pressure, and that's why the throw is incomplete. But Garrett Johnson was open as the check down. Instead, it's 4th down. We'll see if Kentucky tries the long field goal.
A little bit of happy feet right there from Steven Johnson. I'm sure he's been told all week long by Eddie Graham, the offensive coordinator, hey, these guys up front, they can get after the passer. You got to be good in the pocket. He stepped up a little too aggressively, got himself into trouble, and it forced the inaccurate throw on 3rd down.
Kentucky trying to get on the board first. Austin McGinnis, a 45-yard attempt. And the kick ricochets in. It's good for Austin McGinnis. And the Wildcats strike first.
It's a great start for the Kentucky Wildcats. They mixed a little run pass, picked up a couple of key 3rd downs by a quarter of an inch. Field goal's good. Early lead, Kentucky.
Well, it's the Giants and the Vikings, boy. Is there anybody doing as good a job right now as Mike Zimmer with that Vikings squad? Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's kicks us off at 6, and then the Vikings and the Giants from the new U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. So Kentucky, behind the 45-yard field goal from Austin McGinnis, has an early 3-0 lead over Alabama. This is going to be a touchback. Alabama will start on the 25. Boy, Kentucky's... And for Mark Stoops and company, that was a shot in the arm because they were miserable the first few weeks of the season.
And he took over play calling duty against New Mexico State a few weeks ago. That game didn't go so well, but last week was exponential improvement, particularly on 3rd down. They came into that game giving up almost 60% on 3rd down. Last week, only 3 of 13. So you can tell this is a young Kentucky defense. They lost 7 of their top 8 tacklers from last year's team. So they made some mistakes early on. But it appears as though Mark Stoops is going to be coaching them up so that they're in the right position, because there were way too many blown coverages and mistakes made in the first 3 games.
So Alabama on 1st down. Hurts will look downfield. Everybody covered. Hurts takes off and throws it away. Jordan Jones, who might be Kentucky's best player on defense, had pressure that time on Hurts.
DJ Elliott, look, he said, me and Mark Stoops, we have a great relationship. It's no problem. He's still very much involved in the game plan, but the biggest thing for them, they have to be better on 3rd down. They have to figure out a way to make quarterbacks uncomfortable. Last week, they had 4 sacks. That's a step in the right direction, and right now, early on, they've put a little pressure on the young quarterback for Alabama.
Yeah, got a 4th down stop on the last possession. Hurts going to hand it off here to Jacobs. He's past the 30, keeps the feet moving, pushes the pile, and is close to the first down at the 35. Jacobs, not a big guy, about 205 pounds, but kept the feet moving, and he was able to move the sticks that time.
Got to give an assist to his left guard, Rosh Pierschbacher. He was pushing that pile with all his might and got the first down. Well done by the offensive lineman getting downfield.
That's Dieter lining up in the backfield, now moving out, and a handoff to Jacobs off the right edge, and Kentucky able to get there and cut off the corner. Mike Edwards and Courtney Love, a Nebraska transfer, stopped Jacobs after a gain of a couple. Don't forget, over on ABC tonight, top 5 matchup, Louisville and Clemson. Crazy day in the ACC with North Carolina making a 54-yard field goal to beat Florida State.
Might have been good from 64.
He crushed that thing. Here's Hurts dumping it off to Jacobs. Makes 2 guys miss. And brought down a yard short of the first down by Courtney Miggins. So 3rd and 1 here for Alabama.
So far, Greg, I got to be honest with you. Kentucky's doing exactly what they set out to do. Don't allow the north to south run and disrupt the quarterback's flow. Very impressive so far for the Wildcats here on defense.
And they're in the right place too, Luke. That's a big thing also.
Jacobs able to get the first down straight ahead. And once again, moving the pile. Yes, getting help. Here's your guy Pierschbacher in there again too, pushing Kentucky defenders. Damian Harris, the normal starting running back for Alabama, battling an ankle injury. We saw him in there earlier. Of course, last year it was Derrick Henry, Kenyon Drake getting the job done in running back. Henry, of course, winning the Heisman Trophy, 2nd round pick. Kenyon Drake, a 3rd round pick. Now they got a true freshman at quarterback, a true freshman at tailback, and a true freshman at right tackle. Plus a good true freshman at wide receiver in Trayvon Diggs. Play action here for Hurts. And Hurts letting it fly downfield, overthrew Howard. Mike Edwards was beat in coverage, but the pass too far.
That was a tough throw that you can see early on. It's already 2 targets for O.J. Howard. They've had him open in the first 4 games several times. Jalen Hurts and whoever the quarterback has been just hasn't been able to find him very consistently. He was obviously so huge down the stretch last year. It's going to be important for him to get going as the season goes on.
And the ball's on the ground. Kentucky falls on it. It's recovered by the Wildcats. DeNiro Laster. Scarborough appeared to accidentally hit the arm of Jalen Hurts, forcing the fumble.
This is an RPO. Run-pass option. It's a running play. The offensive line thinks it's a running play. The running back thinks it's a running play. Jalen Hurts recognizes that he has off coverage. He's trying to get a cheap completion to the outside to Calvin Ridley. Bo Scarborough's got to understand, as soon as his quarterback lifts his arms in a throwing posture, he has to get away from him. Right there, the mesh came way too close, and it obviously results in a costly turnover in Alabama territory.
When they're in the film room, Greg, the path to the line of scrimmage that Scarborough took is going to be the wrong path, and that's what caused that.
Kentucky's first fumble recovery of the season. And off the left side is Stanley Williams, picking up 3 or 4. Let's check in with Adnan in the studio. Man, some great finishes, Adnan, in college football. See ya at halftime as well. Here's Boom getting another yard maybe. Put him in 3rd and manageable. Dalvin Tomlinson, who was shaken up earlier, is back in and made the tackle.
It's an important 3rd down right here for Kentucky. I know it's early, but your defense just gave you the ball back in Alabama territory. You got to cash in when given the short field against a defense like this. Make the most of every opportunity. So they're going to need to convert here.
The pass to an open receiver, first down inside the 30. It's Garrett Johnson all the way to the 23-yard line. How about the calm and confident throw on 3rd down there by Steven Johnson?
Really nice throw, and a good job by Eddie Grand, too, recognizing the matchup that he had. He has Garrett Johnson, who's a smaller, quicker wide receiver against a bigger body safety in Ronnie Harrison, who's listed at 6'3", 216 pounds, whereas Johnson's only 175. Much quicker, favorable matchup for Kentucky there.
They've got the ball on the Alabama 22-yard line. Johnson pulls it back and wide open at the 10-yard line. The ball was deflected on the line of scrimmage, but man, Conrad was wide open in the middle of the field.
This is one you just have to shake your head. Great design. Conrad sneaking. Yeah, Eddie Jackson's back there, but he was in no position to make that play. Just got to have a little touch at the quarterback spot, up and over the hands, and you can see him. He's saying, "I missed you, buddy. I'm sorry. I'll get you next time."
I haven't seen Tim Williams yet, or at least not that we've noticed in the ball game yet. Anthony Jennings, who is his backup, was in on that last play. There's Williams on the Alabama sideline. 2nd down and 10 for Kentucky on the 22-yard line. Gonna hand it off to Kemp. He gets planted after a gain of 1. Jonathan Allen, terrific defensive end for Alabama, made the play.
He's been so good over the course of his career, Jonathan Allen has. He can not only hold up well in the run, but he can get after the passer too. And right here, him and those Crimson Tide defensive linemen are going to be pinning their ears back in an obvious passing situation. Expect them to try to rush just 4 to get home here.
Johnson on 3rd down and 10, in trouble. Gets sacked back at the 31-yard line. The ball is out, and it's recovered by Alabama. A turnover by the Wildcats. Ryan Anderson comes up with the recovery. Christian Miller chopped it out.
The pocket just collapses around Steven Johnson. Nowhere to go. But when you try to break contain, you have to know when the play is over. Now, right there, it looked like the ball moved just ever so slightly. Obviously, on every turnover, it will be reviewed.
I think it's a fumble
and that
break.
Ball is moving before that left knee hits the ground. So I would anticipate this play standing. Right there, too, you're at 3rd down and 9. You just can't take a sack here. You got to understand when the defense wins. One more look at it. Take a look at that left knee. Not down, and the ball is moving.
Yeah, again, you
just
had
a little bit.
Christian Miller low, and then Ryan Anderson came in high and appeared to be the one to chop it out.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Alabama recovery, 1st down.
That's a big mistake by Steven Johnson there, because they had a field goal if he had just thrown the ball.
And that's the biggest thing. You can't turn it over right there, obviously, but you also can't take a sack because you're sitting there on Alabama's 22-yard line. You got a real chance to knock home at least 3 points.
That's the 2nd most turnovers in FBS. 13 now by Kentucky. They get a takeaway, but then they give it back. The 7th lost fumble this year by the Wildcats. See if Alabama's offense gets going here. 1st down from the 39. Play action for Hurts. Hurts looking deep. Instead, throws it over the head of Ridley. Again, Jordan Jones in the backfield. The leading tackler in the SEC. Got pressure on Jalen Hurts a couple times here tonight. First.
He's done a nice job. Really improving the last couple weeks. This Kentucky defense made so many mistakes early on. I think they're starting to get a little more comfortable. They believe in Mark Stoops' system. And you can tell there's not a lot of places to go with the football for Jalen Hurts. Well covered in the secondary.
Hurts 4 of 8 for 38 yards passing so far. They bring Ridley in motion, and Hurts is going to run it. Hurts gets the 1st down to midfield. 11-yard run for Jalen Hurts. Against Ole Miss, he rushed for 146 yards. That's the most by an Alabama quarterback since Tyler Watts back in 2001. Did you have 146 yards for a season?
I didn't have 146 yards in a career.
Here's Hurts dumping it off. It's Big Bo Scarborough. 230 pounds, 6'2", out of bounds at the 41, picking up 9.
You know, Greg, when we talked to Lane Kiffin this week, he really wanted to maybe not run Jalen Hurts as much. But I think what we're seeing is we've got an injured Wildcat down here on the Alabama sideline. What we're seeing is he has to be a part of the run game, because if they don't force Kentucky to defend the quarterback, now Kentucky can be even simpler in what they're doing so their kids can play faster and smarter. I anticipate now, I think Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban are going to sit there and say, you know what, forget trying not to run him or preserve him. He's our best weapon, and he keeps the defense on their heels.
And Lugs, with a quarterback that can run, you gain numbers in the run game. And this offensive line, they lost obviously a first-round center in Ryan Kelly. They haven't gelled quite as well as a lot of people thought they might. They have been a little inconsistent, a little bit of a roller coaster. So picking up that additional blocker in the scheme when you have the quarterback runs has benefited Alabama to this point.
Well, both of you guys said that Cam Robinson hasn't played very well, and Lane Kiffin, in talking with him yesterday, felt like he hasn't played up to his potential. And Jonah Williams, when you've got a true freshman winning the Alabama Offensive Lineman of the Week award 3 times, that tells you something, not only about Williams, but that maybe Robinson isn't playing as well as he should be.
And really, Jonah Williams, if he hadn't given up the sack to Marquise Haynes that resulted in a fumble return for a touchdown against Ole Miss, he would have been Offensive Lineman of the Week that week too. He would have been a clean 4 for 4. So this group, they've kind of mixed in some different bodies at right guard. They've missed a little bit with the center and the left guard with both Pierce Baker and Bozeman, moving guys around, figuring it out what they do best. But the one stable point that they've had for the last 3 years has been Cam Robinson, and he needs to elevate his level of play significantly, because they're going to need him down the stretch as they continue to face some of these great pass rushing defenses in the SEC.
Robinson, a first-team All-SEC performer last year, 34 consecutive starts. You've got at left guard Pierce Baker, a second-year starter. The center, Bradley Bozeman, hasn't had a lot of starts in his career. Neither is Alphonse Taylor, the right guard. You got Lester Cotton, who started a couple of games this year. You need those guys when you have a true freshman quarterback to gel. With that said, their offense looked great still the first month of the season. Here's Ridley out in space. Well defended, but Ridley just too quick. Gets the first down. Derek Beatty was out there, but boy, Ridley is so good with the ball in his hands.
Very elusive and a long strider, an effortless runner is Calvin Ridley. He hasn't had as many opportunities, especially down the field in the early going, but he can still go the distance every time he touches the football.
It's interesting play selection on first down. 7 pass plays for Jalen Hurts on first down plays. Got an official stoppage of play. Might be an issue with the chains over on that far sideline. No announcement from Brad Rogers, so that would tell you that that's the issue. We see one of the officials over there trying to get the chain set.
You hate this as an offense. You're in a rhythm, sure, trying to get going. You just crossed the 50. And then, obviously, you have a stall like this. It kind of throws you off your game a little bit if you're an offensive-minded football team.
Nearing 3 minutes to go here in the first quarter. It's 3-0 Kentucky. Alabama on first down. Here's Ridley on the pitch to the 32-yard line. We check in with Adnan. Just a couple weeks ago, Ole Miss had Alabama down 21, but the Tide came back to win that one. They trail early here. Jacobs cannot get to the first down marker. He'll come up a yard short. Laster was there for Kentucky.
Tell you, Greg, this Alabama football team, we just touched on this offensive line. They are not just owning the line of scrimmage. They're not sustaining blocks. The quickness for Kentucky is helping out.
Third down at a yard, and Jacobs able to find the hole and get the first down. Nice vision by the true freshman from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Great second effort right there, too, because Adrian Middleton was in the backfield. He had to sidestep him real quick and then get north and south, knowing how much he needed to get the first down. Lugs, I know you really like Joshua Jacobs from what you've seen so far.
I do. He's so quick. Now, he's built different than the other backs, so he kind of adds a different dimension, not too dissimilar to what we saw from Kenyon Drake in his career here.
Fresh set of downs inside the 30-yard line for Alabama. Hurts on the move and throws it away. Again, it was Jordan Jones in the backfield. You guys talked, though, about the intelligence of Jalen Hurts, and that's a play that may just get dismissed by a lot of people, but this is smart by Hurts.
Sometimes the best play is to throw it away, and that's mature. I mean, that's very mature at this point in his career and development, Lugs, to understand the situation. You're in the red zone or nearing the red zone. Don't take a sack and push your team behind the sticks.
Great field awareness, no doubt about it.
Again, son of a coach. See him diagnosing the defense there. Had a little trouble with a snap. On the move here on second down. And that pass is caught by Ridley, but out of bounds. Oh, the fact that he caught it with Derek Beatty right in front of him is incredible, but he was clearly out of bounds.
We just mentioned his maturity. I think he might have been trying to throw that one away. Little did he know that Calvin Ridley can jump about 15 feet in the air and bring it down. My goodness.
I'll say this, Greg, Dave, there's not a lot of guys running open now.
Yeah.
These are difficult throws for Jalen Hurts to make because this secondary and the effort in the front for Kentucky's been impressive down here.
Well, you got a 6'3" corner on one side, a 6'4" corner on the other side for Kentucky. I mean, Beatty's 6'3", and Ridley still caught that ball from Hurts. Here's Hurts in the pocket and through the hands of Howard on 3rd down and 10. So Kentucky's defense holds, and Alabama's going to have to try for a field goal. Remember, they went for it on 4th down last time when they were in this situation. They're a little bit closer to the goal line. Be about a 45-yard attempt for Adam Griffin.
It's a win for the Kentucky defense.
Indeed.
Right there.
Indeed.
Alabama's marching. You hold up. 2016 defense is all about 3rd down and red zone. Kentucky's going to leave the field feeling good about themselves here.
And the kick is perfect by Adam Griffith from 44 yards. He ties Derrick Henry for number 8 on the Alabama all-time scoring list with that field goal. But I agree with you. That's a victory for Kentucky's defense, which has found its identity after the job it did last week against South Carolina. Us we're here at Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa. This SEC matchup between Kentucky and Alabama. Tied at 3. Here's Vidette on the return for the Wildcats. He hesitated on the goal line, but he breaks a tackle at the 10. Vidette stiff-arming as he steps out at the 31. Worked out pretty well for him. Kentucky 0-9 here in Tuscaloosa. Last time they beat a ranked team on the road was 2002. The last time they played, period, was in 2013. Alabama won that game 48-7. The Tide has won 16 consecutive games. The last loss was September 19th of last year. Here, all those turnovers against Ole Miss. First down for Kentucky. It's a play fake for Johnson. Hitting his tight end, Conrad. Good open field stop by Eddie Jackson. It's a 2-yard pickup.
Lugs, early on, I'm looking at Eddie Grant, offensive coordinator for Kentucky, and they're mixing it up. I mean, they're going a little naked, they're going a little downhill run, a little outside run. It's a good game plan so far for this Kentucky offense.
I love the approach, and they're not putting their quarterback in too much danger by holding on to the ball too often.
Eddie Grant, the play caller for Kentucky. Here's 2nd down, and a wide receiver screen. Jackson with a huge hit on Garrett Johnson. He loses a couple of yards on the play.
Great play by Eddie Jackson. There's room to run here. And he beats the offensive lineman to the spot. Now forcing a very difficult 3rd down for Kentucky. Consecutive great tackles by Eddie Jackson here in the Alabama secondary.
It's really the first time Kentucky's been in 3rd and long, so Alabama now can cut those guys loose and rush the passer here. Kentucky is not going to snap the ball, though. They'll start the second quarter with a 3rd down and 11. So after 1 quarter of play here in Tuscaloosa, the #1 team in the country, Alabama, tied with Kentucky at 3. See on ESPN. Kentucky and Alabama tied at 3 after 1. Taco Bell, a proud partner of the College Football Playoff. Be on the lookout for Taco Bell student sections and passionate fans like these at games all season long. Packed house here at Bryant-Denny, ESPN prime time. 3rd down and 11 for the Wildcats. Johnson slides up and slings it incomplete, trying to hit Garrett Johnson, who is double covered. This is my first trip in 13 years ESPN. My first trip here the last couple days. I'm just wondering here as I watch these fans and just being here and seeing how important football is there sometimes more pressure playing at home than on the road as an Alabama player?
No, not with some of the venues you have to go to in the Southeastern Conference, I can promise you.
Shut that down quickly.
I'd much rather have them cheer after a score than boo after a score.
Jackson lets that one bounce, now picks it up. And Jackson at the 30-yard line, cuts it back, making defenders miss all the way to the 40. It's a 17-yard return.
Alabama with only 3 points. It's because they're mixing up some of their pressures. You can see right here, bringing a little field pressure, forcing Jalen Hurts to get off his spot and throw a quick, easy pass. Just got to tackle. And then staying home on some of the zone read principles, running sideline to sideline. Alabama loves to go north-south. But right now, this Kentucky defense, Lugs, is forcing Alabama to go coast to coast.
And by keeping it simple, the old KISS method, guys. Keep it simple, stupid. Now your kids can play fast and know what they're doing.
Yep. And scored just 3 points. Play fake. Hurts in trouble. And Hurts tucks and runs and gets positive yardage. You know, it's interesting in talking with Lane Kiffin guys the other day when he mentioned that Hurts called out a teammate in a good way. As a true freshman, you don't see that very often. In fact, he kind of compared him to Russell Wilson and some other things because obviously Lane is close with Pete Carroll, head coach of the Seahawks, something that Wilson did when he was a rookie and when Pete Carroll knew that Russell Wilson was his guy. Kind of the same thing with Jalen Hurts, the way he steps up in meetings. Hurts keeping it here. Wrapped up at the 46-yard line, picked up 2.
Going back to what you're saying, though, about his ability to lead as an 18-year-old freshman, I didn't say a word for about a year and a half. Not a word, Lugs. Speak when spoken to. When I was a freshman, this young man's holding players accountable. Very impressive demeanor from Jalen Hurts.
Hurts rolling out here on 3rd down. Alabama trying to get something going offensively. It wasn't there. And that was a mistake. Should have thrown the ball away. He was outside the pocket. Instead, he loses about 7 or 8. Courtney Love pressuring, and so Alabama has to punt now.
Can't say enough good things about what Kentucky's doing defensively. They know that when you have a scrambling quarterback on the other side, you can't get too aggressive in your pass rush. And they're also mixing in some blitzes and some pressures, and then in the back end, the secondary, very tight coverage. Lugs, it's been a great start to the game for this Kentucky defense.
Yep, get the quarterback off schedule. Don't allow straight ahead run. It's gone exactly to order for Kentucky so far.
They just look more confident based on this year and last week as opposed to what we saw the first couple weeks. Not saying they're going to win the game, but just the confidence level is up.
That's because some of the mistakes they made early on.
That punt hugs the sideline. Then it goes into the end zone. Oh.
Wow.
They had a chance to down it at the 1, but Tony Brown playing for the first time. Remember, he hasn't played since the SEC championship game last year. He was suspended before the College Football National semifinal. It's his first game back, and he can't keep the ball out of the end zone. A touchback.
ESPN College Football. Brought to you by Coca-Cola. Taste the feeling. And Firestone. Whatever you drive a Firestone.
Greg McElroy helped Nick Saban and company get their first national championship of the Saban era back in 2009. Went 14-0. Beat Texas in the national title game. Here's Steven Johnson on first down, straight ahead, slides to the 23. Greg, obviously you played in big games. You played in championship games. Go well at the start of the game. How do you handle that as a quarterback?
Within the offense. That was the approach I always try to take.
Johnson dumping it off to Williams, and he ducks under a defender, picks up a couple. You said that Nick Saban was so persuasive with that message about treating every opponent the right way that you even believed there were some weeks where you're playing a team you should beat by 100 that you're going to lose a game, right?
There's no question. I mean, it didn't matter. Remember, we played Western Carolina. I'm going into it. We better play well or we're going to lose. It's the way he works.
Third down and 3, and it's behind the intended receiver, Jeff Badette. Johnson got hit as he threw it, so fourth down, Kentucky will kick it.
Had an open man right there. Those are throws you have to make.
So did Nick Saban, were you at the point where you were scared as a player, where he had you convinced because out of fear, or was it just because of the way, how systematic he is?
That's
the attention to detail.
He's the same guy every week. Didn't matter if it was a national championship game or the first game of the season against an opponent, like you said, that you should beat handily. He was the same guy, so therefore we respected the teams all the same.
Eddie Jackson, the return man, signals for the fair catch. So funny because a lot of people say, oh, they want to hear the coach say the same thing over and over again, but then when you hear a player say that he believed it, you get why a coach does it. Reese Davis had the stat of the year today on game day, where he said that if Ed Orgeron wins 5 games, which he could as the LSU interim coach, he'll have more wins as an interim coach, USC and LSU, than he had as the head coach, the full-time coach at Ole Miss.
And he said, look, I've learned how to delegate. He has those guys ready to play this week.
First down for Alabama on its 39. Here's Damian Harris trying to get the edge. Dragged down after a gain of 3 by Jordan Jones. Greg and Tom, what's the likelihood if Ed Orgeron does that, win 5-6 games, that he gets that job, or is there no chance he gets that job no matter what happens?
It's highly unlikely. There's so many people in college football that would love to be the head coach. It's going to be a very highly sought-after position as the coaching search goes on. I think he'd have to win every game remaining on his schedule in order to retain the position.
Here's a first down run. Jacobs breaking a tackle all the way to the 29-yard line. The 28-yard run by true freshman Joshua Jacobs.
And this is Alabama bread and butter. Just a stretch zone play, north-south. Way to get upfield by Joshua Jacobs.
Back to Jacobs again. Nice moves to the 21. An 8-yard pickup that time.
Taking up the pace a little bit offensively. Alabama felt as though they could kind of wear down this Kentucky defense. They're not remarkably deep, especially up front is Kentucky. So they want to implement some of these tempo principles as they continue.
He has 8 carries so far in this game, had 18 the first 4 games combined. On 2nd and 2, they'll give it to Jacobs. First down to the 9-yard line. A 12-yard run by Jacobs.
This running game is starting to get going a little bit. They were trying to do some things on the perimeter, trying to mix it up with some north-south. Now they're trying to stretch it, get the defenders running a little bit side to side, and then cut it up.
First and goal on the 9. Jacobs to the 4-yard line.
I tell you, Greg, I'm standing right down here by Jacobs. When you watch him take that football, he's got the point of that ball into the palm of his hand, and that ball is held up tight against his rib cage. For a true freshman, he's not letting that ball get out in the red zone in the run game.
See if they give it to him again here, Tom, on 2nd and goal from the 4. Jacobs hit at the 1. Comes up just short. of the end zone. It'll be 3rd down and goal. Give it to the kid again down here, huh?
Two opportunities to score, more than likely. You get down this far, it's 4-down territory. You run the football.
Jacobs dives, and he's in. Touchdown, Alabama. Six carries, 57 yards on that drive alone for Joshua Jacobs. And his 3rd touchdown. He had 2 in the first quarter of their win last week against Kent State. Griffith makes it 10-3 Alabama. Lane Kiffin says, I'm just going to hand it to my true freshman every single play on this drive, and he punches it in from a yard out as the Tide get the first TD of the game. Kick off your Week 4 NFL Sunday on ESPN at 10 a.m. Eastern. It's NFL Insider Sunday edition. Then at 11, the new Sunday NFL Countdown crew. Chris Berman, Trent Dilfer, Charles Woodson, Matt Hasselbeck, Randy Moss. Welcome back to ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by Hampton by Hilton. The first touchdown of the game, scored by true freshman Joshua Jacobs. It's 10-3 Crimson Tide. Inside the 5-yard line, Badette past the 20. Out to about the 25, a penalty flag down. Hard to tell if the defender got the face mask as he made the tackle that time on Badette.
Upside kicking team, number 29. 5-yard penalty added on to the end of the run. 1st down.
Cam Robinson's been inconsistent. He's been challenged. He says challenge accepted. Look at him seal the edge right there, allowing Joshua Jacobs to get to the 2nd level. He makes 2 guys miss. Next thing you know, you got a big play down the left sideline. Again, a couple plays later in the double team, pushing the defensive end off the spot, allowing Joshua Jacobs to cut up inside. Great drive right there. Every run went to the left-hand side. They challenged their talented tackle.
See if Kentucky can answer. Boom Williams wrapped up in the backfield. Ryan Anderson and Deron Payne.
Think he's fired up? He knows he hasn't played his best football. He's been inconsistent against the pass. Hasn't been great against the bull rush. The speed to power hasn't been real in line with Pierce Baker at left guard with their double teams. It appears that some of their woes might be solved after that most recent drive.
They come back at a tackle for a loss on defense, 2nd and 11. Play fake. Johnson with time into traffic, and it's still caught. Blake Bone with his first catch of the year with 2 defenders right there. Going to be 3rd and 6.
Good strong hands right there from Blake Bone. And 3rd down, I'm thinking you got to get Steven Johnson out of the pocket a little bit. Get him comfortable and allow him to possibly use his legs if he needs them.
Seven of 11 passing. 43 yards for Steven Johnson, making his 2nd career start for the injured Drew Barker, who's out for a while with a back injury. Start of the year at quarterback. Johnson on 3rd down from the pocket. Oh, what a grab and a 1st down. Taven Richardson pulls that one in. Marlon Humphrey was right there.
It's a great catch, but it's a great throw. I mean, he sees that the defender is trying to cut off the slant. Therefore, he says, hey, Richardson, hold up just a little bit. Let me throw it behind you. You see the back shoulder throw all the time on fades. That was a back shoulder throw on a slant. Very difficult to do. Well done by the quarterback, who's only making his 2nd career start.
Started out at Grambling, and then he transferred to a junior college, getting his chance here to start for an SEC school. And it's a flea flicker. Johnson airing it out and overshot the intended receiver, Richardson. Alabama was not fooled, though. There were two defenders, Eddie Jackson and Marlon Humphrey, that were down there with Richardson. Good idea, though, right? Why not?
Right there, 1st and 10. Quarterback just made a nice throw. He actually made another nice throw right there, to tell you the truth. It was well covered and defended by Alabama, staying home on the little flea flicker.
Midway through the second quarter, 10-3 Alabama. Kentucky just shy of midfield with a 2nd down and 10. They're going to run it here with Kemp. Powers between the tackles for about 5 yards.
That was smart right there, guys, because what Kentucky's got to start looking at now is regaining that field position advantage they had in the first quarter. So even if they don't convert here, with the way that last defensive series went for Kentucky, they need to force Alabama to go the long distance if they're not able to convert here.
They're 3 of 7, Tom, on 3rd down so far. They need to get to the 43 to keep this drive going. And we have not seen Tim Williams for Alabama in the game here in the first half. Johnson steps up, and it's fumbled again. And it's picked up by Alabama. Ronnie Harrison has it at the 40. Harrison inside the 20, into the end zone. Touchdown, Bama. A 55-yard return. That's the 2nd time that Steven Johnson has been pressured where he's fumbled the ball. This one returned for a touchdown to make it 16-3. And that is now 7 non-offensive touchdowns this year. They had 3 at Ole Miss, so they got 4 in 6 quarters of SEC play. 5 defensive touchdowns. Eddie Jackson's got a punt return for a score. It's the one thing Steven Johnson could not have happen there. Got to hold on to the ball.
It's Alabama defense always. Even if the offense is struggling, the defense isn't playing great, the special teams will pick them up. The defense is struggling, the offense will pick them up. They work so well together, all 3 phases of the football team.
2 touchdowns in about 3 minutes for Alabama as the Tide has opened up a 14-point advantage.
Pressure, try to collapse the pocket. As he's going down to the ground, the 2nd time Steven Johnson's fumbled the football on 3rd down. And then there's just no chance for anybody to try to tackle Ronnie Harrison as he gets going. It's just a great effort by Rashaan Evans.
What a killer turnover, Greg. I mean, we just got done talking about, at the very least, maintaining a field position advantage. Now you give up field position and points.
That's been one of the big problems for Kentucky this year, guys. I mean, they just cannot protect the football.
That's 14 turnovers on the year. Coming into this game, they had 12, obviously. The only team in college football that had more, Bowling Green. Turnovers and explosive plays are the biggest factors as to whether or not you win or lose the football game. So far tonight, this defense has played very well for Kentucky. They've been put in difficult spots, not once, but twice now, obviously, with that most recent fumble return leading to a touchdown.
Now you're in a situation where, maybe you start to throw the ball a little bit more because you're down 14 against the #1 team in the country. That's obviously not where Kentucky wants to be in terms of the comfort level with Steven Johnson, although he's been pretty accurate on the season. He's had 2 turnovers in this game, and that one was downfield earlier when he turned it over. He was inside the pocket trying to throw the ball. Boom Williams did a great job to get back to the line of scrimmage there. Should have been tackled for a loss. Deshaun Hand had him.
Alabama's starting to get going.
Oh man. How about that, Greg?
They're starting to get going defensively. It's so hard, Loops, to run it between the tackles against Alabama. Kentucky's going to have to figure out ways to get it on the perimeter with some of their run game.
Second down and 10 for Kentucky from its 25-yard line. They're really not an explosive play, tight offense. Williams straight ahead, nothing doing. Brought Eddie Jackson down that time. Deron Payne along with Dakota Ball in there. 3rd and 10 against that Alabama pass rush. What's Eddie Grant thinking here?
Screen. This Alabama pass rush is so good. It forces you to keep running backs in because they need to chip against defenders on the outside. You have to at least change the shot clock for this Alabama defense. So if I'm Eddie Grant, the offensive coordinator for Kentucky, I'm thinking get the ball out on a screen right here.
And Dewan Johnson getting pressure, dropping back again after he's fumbled twice. We're going to let him do it here, and he's in trouble. This time he hung on, but he's sacked by Jonathan Allen. 10 sacks in the last 11 games for Jonathan Allen.
Here's Jonathan Allen right here. This Kentucky offensive line slides all the way down. You have the best defensive lineman for Alabama going up against a running back. Jonathan Allen is going to hear his name called in the top 10 picks, I would imagine, in the NFL draft. He'll win that matchup every single time.
Yeah, hard for a guy 190 to block a guy 290. This is a great punt. Wonder if Jackson lost it in the lights. Could be like an 80-yard punt down to the 20-yard line. True freshman Grant McInnes. That seemed longer. It ends up being 62 yards.
Aflac.
Tonight's Aflac trivia question. Since 2000, Alabama's been in an FBS most 14 matchups with top 5 teams. What team is next in line? Who has had the second most games between top 5 teams? Any guesses?
Since 2000. You got to think, obviously, USC there in the Pete Carroll era. They had a number of them. LSU's been very consistent.
I'll give you a hint. The team is unranked right now. Was ranked at the beginning of the year.
I think I have an idea as to who that team might be.
So Alabama takes over on its 21-yard line, up 14 points. Play fake here for Hurts. Steps up, lets it fly, and incomplete. There was contact downfield, but it was incidental. O.J. Howard and Mike Evans were tangled up. Howard slow to get up.
Another try to get O.J. Howard involved in some of the play-action game. You can see feet tangled. Good no call by the officials. Both guys were trying to go after the football, and occasionally that happens.
You talked about Jonathan Allen getting picked high as they run Jacobs here on 2nd and 10. Stood up at the 25, a gain of 4. Remember Ohio State last year had all those guys picked in the first round? Alabama might do that this year. We talked about the youth, but then you look at their veteran players, and O.J. Howard's one of those guys. Mentioned he was shaken up on that incompletion. He's another first-round pick potentially.
There's so many. I mean, Cam Robinson, O.J. Howard. On the defensive side of the football, you might have 4 or 5 guys in the draft upcoming that'll hear their name called very early.
Big 3rd down and 6 here for Kentucky defensively. Hurts going to step up and run. And Hurts picks up the first down to the 34-yard line. So here's what we're talking about based on what Mel Kiper has in his 2017 big board. All these guys he has going in the top 25. Again, we haven't seen Tim Williams yet in this game. Don't know if that's, you can only assume it's a suspension. Don't know how long. Again, he is suited up. Got arrested a couple days ago for allegedly having a handgun without an Alabama permit. Fresh set it out. Hurts finds Harris out of the backfield.
Trying to emphasize the quick game, Lugs. They're not really doing a ton of things downfield.
Right.
Because Kentucky's doing a nice job in coverage, but the quick game's been good to Alabama, and they're trying to get some of these guys involved.
Yeah, they're trying to get some of these guys involved, and I think Jalen Hurts needs to use his legs a little bit more if he doesn't like what he sees downfield.
He's going to hand it off here to Scarborough. And Scarborough gets maybe a yard. Tymir Dubose was there first. We did see Hurts use his legs to pick up that first down on the 3rd down pass attempt when nothing was there. Took off. Made a good decision.
A little bit interesting here, Greg, that they haven't just gone back, lined up, went the outside stretch zone like they did the entire last series, and forced Kentucky to defend it.
They ran it 7 or 8 times on the last drive, it seemed like. I'm a little surprised as well, Luke.
3rd and 4. Let's see what Lane Kiffin dials up here. Wide open is Ridley. No defender within 5 yards of him, and he's near midfield. How does that happen? Best player maybe on the field is wide open.
Calvin Ridley is so good when it comes to getting deep on a defense. So therefore, the corner has to back way off and respect his speed. Sometimes it allows for quick hitches underneath for first downs.
Alabama starting to get in sync here offensively late in the second quarter. Another pass play for Hurts. Along the sideline, the catch is made. It's Ridley again. Just short of the first down marker.
Make sure he caught it. Yes, no problem there. Both feet in bounds.
Greg, notice how the attempts now are one-on-one into the sideline and not over the middle with many progression reads.
Isolate the wide receivers on the outside.
Scarborough on 2nd down and a yard. Able to pick it up easily. Man, watching Cam Robinson here, just kind of keeping an eye on him. That last drive, and they finally get him going. We showed you the highlight on the left side run, and then also his emotion going to the sideline. There's a new pep in this guy's step, just watching him each play.
Playing offensive line is half attitude, half skill. You got to be mean in the trenches, and it appears as though he's ready to rock after that last drive.
74 and Crimson, keep an eye on him here, left tackle. First down inside the 40. Hurts looking deep, airing it out. Incomplete, going for Ridley. Let's check in with Adnan Virk in the studio. All right, Adnan, talk to you in about 90. Hurts here. Again, a wide open receiver. It's Robert Foster to the 22-yard line. An easy 15-yard pickup.
You see 1:26 on the clock. You have all 3 timeouts. No rush. Play your offense. Take what the defense gives you if you're the quarterback.
Jalen Hurts, a true freshman. Didn't start the opener, but came in on the 3rd possession against USC, replacing Blake Barnett, who has left Alabama. He's going to transfer. So it's Jalen Hurts' show. Rolling out here, and Hurts going to run out of play, getting out of the 20-yard line. Alabama has all of its timeouts remaining.
Another smart decision there, Greg and Dave, from a young quarterback who he was outnumbered in the defensive secondary of Kentucky with only 1 target in the boundary of the end zone there. Doesn't force the ball, stops the clock. Great awareness once again in the most critical area of the field.
Very under control. Knows exactly what Lane Kiffin wants from him.
2nd down and long. Scarborough to the 17-yard line, bringing up 3rd down here. Eli Brown on the stop. Well, Hurts came in averaging just under 200 yards per game, but you look at that completion percentage, 63. I mean, that's really good for anybody, especially for a true freshman.
It's partly because Lane Kiffin's putting him in position to make high percentage completion throws.
See what he does here on 3rd down and 4, throwing a fade to the end zone and way overshot. Robert Foster didn't have the touch on that one, so it's 4th down. Saw O.J. Howard go to the locker room, so he's not available in this situation. He got shaken up earlier. And Alabama's going to send on the field goal team.
Adam Griffith has had a lot of ups and downs over the course of his career. Has been pretty good, though, for the most part, especially inside the 40-yard line.
Cooper Bateman is the holder. He's the new backup quarterback behind Jalen Hurts. 35-yard attempt here, and this one is no good. Missed it badly. Well, he said he's been up and down. See if that gives Kentucky life or if it's too late for the Wildcats. Down 14 to the number 1 team in the country. Go ahead and answer the Aflac trivia question.
Aflac.
You mentioned that Alabama's been in an FBS most 14 matchups between top 5 teams. What was your guess? Who's number 2?
I think it's Oklahoma, but I don't know for certain.
You're right. 13 games for Oklahoma.
13.
Did I give it away when I said that they're unranked right now?
Partly, yes, but I was thinking a little bit. I have to think about consistent programs who have been outstanding over the last 16 years. Obviously, Bob Stoops and the Sooners are always near the top of the rankings, it seems like, especially the last year.
Ohio State with 11 such appearances. By the way, it looked like Bateman may have come on late there to hold that football. Don't know if that messed at all with the timing. First down for Kentucky on the 20-yard line. Here's Stanley Williams. Pushed out of bounds. I think Kentucky was just trying to run out the clock there and just get to halftime.
Right there. It's not a very smart play by Stanley Williams, because Alabama has 3 timeouts left. If Alabama gets a couple stops here,
right,
they might fire a couple timeouts. They're so good in the return game, they might be able to steal some points before the half.
I get a true freshman in there at tailback. Benny Snell had 4 touchdowns in a game earlier this year. Haven't seen a lot of him tonight, though. Snell out to the 27-yard line, and because he got a good chunk there, Alabama doesn't appear like it's going to call a timeout. Had they stuffed him, maybe they do. Instead, they'll just let the clock run out here.
All in all, though, if you're Kentucky, you're able to go to the locker room and say, look, we gave them 7 points on a fumble. We're in the red zone. We fumbled again. Kentucky's going to go to halftime feeling pretty good about the spot that they're in, even though down 14.
Snell, and that ends the first half. Kind of surprised they even ran a play there. They've had 2 turnovers. Why even mess around there? But they did, and half comes to an end. Stay tuned for an interview. Tom Luginbill will talk with Alabama head coach Nick Saban. 17-3, Crimson Tide leading Kentucky. Now back to the studio. It's the Buick Halftime Report. Well, Primetime presented by Hampton by Hilton. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Alabama in front, 17-3, as the Tide looks to win its 17th consecutive game, ranked number 1 in the country, leading by 2 scores as we get ready for the second half. Dave Pasch alongside Greg McElroy, Tom Luginbill join us again in a bit. Well, the offense struggled a little bit for Alabama in the first half, but when you have a defense like this, you can still win games. I mean, the defense sacked the quarterback 3 times, held Kentucky to 74 yards, and our Good Hands play brought to you by Allstate, another defensive touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, this was the story of the first half. Kentucky's had opportunities right here in the red zone. Steven Johnson, the quarterback, he's got to hang on to the football. This takes 3 points off the board, possibly. And then later on, another 3rd down and long. You know this Alabama defense is going to be rushing the passer. A great job by Rashaan Evans right there, forcing the fumble, and then Ronnie Harrison picks it up, says, I'm going the distance. Touchdown Alabama. Those 2 turnovers led to 10 points for the Crimson Tide, and like we said, the first fumble that took 3 points off the board from Kentucky. So Kentucky has played the game much better than the scoreboard might indicate. They just got to take care of the football.
Steven Johnson with 2 fumbles. Meanwhile, Jalen Hurts did fumble, but it was Bo Scarborough, the running back, knocking the ball out of his hand as he reared it back to throw. Kentucky has never won in Tuscaloosa. 0-9 lifetime in this stadium. They will get the ball to start the second half. Alabama's schedule gets tougher starting next week at Arkansas, then in 2 weeks at Tennessee, which if you didn't see, won today against Georgia on a Hail Mary. Alabama has A&M after that. 3 straight ranked foes for the Tide. Going to be a touchback. Kentucky will start on the 25. Tom had a chance to talk with Mark Stoops.
Yeah, guys, Coach Stoops is actually feeling pretty good about his ball club's effort in that first half. And if you go back to the one series where they really struggled against the run in the second quarter and the scoop and score, this is a 10-3 ball game. The reality of the situation is this. On first and second down offensively for Kentucky, they cannot get behind the chains, and Steven Johnson, their quarterback, has got to protect the football. If that happens and they can get themselves in third and manageable situations, now they're going to be where they want to be, and that's where they were actually, Greg, in the first quarter.
And it all starts on first down, Lugs. Right now, they're averaging under 2.5 yards a play on first down, so they're playing behind the sticks. They got to be more efficient on early downs.
First down at the 25 for the Wildcats. And the quarterback run. Johnson past the 30-yard line. Gets the first down. Good start for Kentucky on its first play of the third quarter.
First time we've seen Steven Johnson pull it on a zone read concept. They've been dialing in on the running back the Alabama defense has. He pulls it, picks up a first down.
This time he'll hand it off, and there's nowhere to run for Boom Williams. Ball came out, but they blew it dead. Boy, Ryan Anderson, 250-pound inside linebacker, first-year starter, made the stick. And for those wondering, we still have not seen Tim Williams in the game tonight for Alabama. Again, arrested a couple days ago. Nick Saban, when we met with him yesterday, said we don't announce suspensions, but we got the sense that it was going to be internal discipline rather than game action. Now he's suited up, he's had his helmet on, but we have not seen him in the game yet tonight. No gain on the last play, so second down and 10. Johnson to the air, and he was feeling the pressure that time. He had Conrad again, but missed him.
Here they are once again, third and 10. It all starts with first down. And second down's an incompletion because they're trying to get back on track. And when you start with a no-gain run between the tackles, it throws off the rhythm of the entire offensive drive.
And Tim Williams is in the game, we believe for the first time. Senior from Baton Rouge.
Watch him on the end of the line of scrimmage. Open tackle against a true freshman.
And here comes Williams. He gets blocked. The pass is out of bounds. Boy, you saw the get off of Tim Williams. And he got right in the face of the quarterback.
And he's going against a true freshman left tackle, Landon Young. Right there goes a little speed to power, had him beat up field, decides to push the pocket, force the inaccurate throw. Didn't play in the first half. Obviously, first big third down of the second half, he immediately makes an impact. Tim Williams is outstanding when he's on the football field.
And Reuben Foster absolutely smacked Steven Johnson as he had to step up, the quarterback did. Fair catch made by Xavier Marks at the 22. Alabama leading by 14, early third. A football matchup, Eli Manning and the New York Giants against the Minnesota Vikings, who just knocked off the Panthers in Charlotte last week. It's from the new U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, 8:15 Eastern on ESPN. We welcome you back to ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by Hampton by Hilton. Dave Pasch, former national championship Alabama quarterback Greg McElroy, Tom Luganville, our field analyst. 17-3, Alabama in front. The longest winning streak under Nixon's back in 2009-2010. This team has won 16 in a row entering tonight as a 2-score lead. First possession of the third quarter for the Tide. And it's Bo Scarborough off the left side, and a beautiful tackle made by Jordan Jones. Played a terrific game so far.
Kentucky's defense has played well. I mean, they've had one drive offensively, Alabama has, in which they imposed their will. But for the most part, Mark Stoops, after having taken over the play calling duties a couple weeks ago, you no longer see busts in coverage, and you're seeing more effort out of the guys in the front seven.
This Kentucky program has come a long way under Mark Stoops. Still has a long way to go, but they have improved talent. That pass to Ridley, a sliding catch made just short of the first down. It'll be 3rd and 1. Ridley's been very active tonight.
Pretty good throw right there from Jalen Hurts. Just outside of the fingertips of a stretching Derek Beatty. By the way, Derek Beatty 6'3", so that's a good throw.
3rd and short, and they get the first down with Joshua Jacobs. In the first half, Jacobs had 86 rushing yards on 13 carries and the lone offensive touchdown in the game. He, like the quarterback Jalen Hurts, is a true freshman.
Greg, I would anticipate a lot of run here on this opening drive. Nick Saban telling me just before half he wants to get back to running the football and get running downhill.
What? Drive where they scored the touchdown, that's all they did. They just ran it off the left side. Here's a play fake for Hurts, as all day, going for Ridley, and he missed him off the 30-yard line. He was open. Mike Edwards was trailing.
Just held it a little bit too long right there. When you're a young player, you want to see guys all the way open. Sometimes, especially in this league, you can't do that. He just has to let it go just a hair sooner, and he's probably going to have a big completion down the field.
Meanwhile, a injured Kentucky player, it's Josh Allen for the Wildcats, shaken up. Jordan Jones, another linebacker, was injured earlier, but obviously he's back in, made a big play on first down. Allen shaken up here. Player at Miami back in the day for the U.
He looks like he can still play, by the way.
Does.
He looks.
Until George Teague stripped the ball out of his hand in the national championship.
I know a lot of fans in this stand. They remember that game very fondly.
2nd and 10 for Alabama, leading by 14. Hurts to the air. Going for Ridley. Threw it behind the line. Ridley couldn't hang on. It's a good thing that he didn't catch the football. He would have lost a hand.
Boy, Nick Saban is livid, guys. He wants his quarterback to push that ball vertically.
And look at the play. They're trying to fake a little screen underneath. O.J. Howard is out on the boundary. That's a perfect opportunity to throw it to O.J. Howard and hold him up in the zone. Look at Nick Saban.
You've seen that face before,
I've seen it one too many times.
3rd down and 10. Hurts looking downfield. Everybody covered this time. Now Hurts finds an open man underneath. Inside the 30, it's Ridley to the 20 and banged out of bounds.
This is what Jalen Hurts has done so well early in his career. He just made a bad play. Missed a read, missed an open receiver, missed a chance at a big play. Then he says, all right, no worries, I'll come back on 3rd down and hit my star receiver on a scramble drill. This young man does not let one bad play affect the next. That's exactly what Nick Saban wants to see from his passer.
That went for 46 yards. And now here's true freshman Trayvon Diggs to the 10-yard line.
Luke still not running the ball a whole lot as Alabama. Thought they might here in the second half and try to tire out this Kentucky defense a little bit.
A lot of white jerseys in that box, though. This might be a concerted effort on Kentucky's part to say, we're not going to allow you to run it.
We got 9-10 guys in there right now. They fake the pitch. Hurts rolling out to the end zone. Ridley, money, touchdown, Alabama. Beautifully executed by the tie.
Outstanding play call by Lane Kiffin. They set this up in the first half. You see 4 receivers to the left-hand side. They go a little naked out the back door. It's going to be very tough to cover Calvin Ridley one-on-one for this Kentucky secondary. Outstanding job by the offensive coordinator for the Crimson Tide.
Ridley over 100 receiving yards now, and it's 24-3 Bama.
Ridley was a superstar freshman a year ago. His quarterback is a superstar now.
ESPN College Football. Brought to you by Nissan, premier partner of the Heisman Trophy. And Aflac. In just one day, we process, approve, and pay. One-day pay, only from Aflac.
Homecoming weekend here in Tuscaloosa. A lot of former Crimson Tide players in attendance, including our own Greg McElroy here in the booth. 24-3, the number one team in the country, and will be a touchback. The Wildcats will start on the 25-yard line.
Jalen Hurts, he hasn't been perfect. Not through the first 4 games of the season. Misses a wide open O.J. Howard down the sideline. Coach Saban saying, throw him the ball. He's wide open. But this is what he does. He answers. And as they continue to grow as an offense, it's going to be imperative for him to stay steady. He's going to make mistakes. He's a true freshman. He was playing high school football a year ago. He's going to make mistakes, but he seems to always have an answer after one of those mistakes.
On 1st and 10, a big hole off the right side for Snell. He's out to the 40-yard line. Let's check in with Adnan Burke. Wow. Just a couple weeks ago, Louisville absolutely pounded Florida State. And now they're leading at Clemson. A lot of game to go, though. 1st and 10 here for the Wildcats at the 41-yard line. Johnson trying to set up a screen to his left. And here's King getting to the 43-yard line. You know, we saw the reaction there of Nick Saban and then the response by the quarterback. You know, Nick Saban is the defensive coordinator, but obviously he is involved in everything, right? What was your relationship like, quarterback, defensive head coach, when you were here?
We had a great relationship. I mean, he held us accountable. Nick Saban, yes, his history is on the defensive side, but he manages every single position and expects every position on the field to play to the standard that he's set for them.
On 2nd and 7, Kentucky. Gonna run it, but nowhere to go. A big loss as Snell was met by Deshaun Hand. Back at the 40-yard line, a loss of 5.
Boy, oh boy, did you just see what happened to the true freshman, number 67 for Kentucky. He's got one in his kitchen, boys, and he goes right up on his back. Now, you talk about penetration. Whoa.
Yeah, that was Dalvin Tomlinson.
Excuse me.
Absolutely blew him up at the point of attack. Got a 3rd and 12. Johnson in the pocket and almost intercepted. Diving attempt by Fitzpatrick. Couldn't come up with it. It's 4th down.
Watching this Alabama defense, Lugs, it seems like they get better and better and better as the game goes on. That's some real, obviously, credit to the defensive coordinator, Jeremy Pruitt, making adjustments as the game goes on, but they're so deep that they can just rotate fresh players in whenever one of their guys might get a little tired.
You know, it's amazing. You lose one of the best in Kirby Smart, but you go out and hire another guy's very good in Jeremy Pruitt. And you just saw kind of what you were talking about. Nick Saban gets in there and does a little teaching, even though Jeremy Pruitt is the primary coach there.
Offense, number 56, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
And that goes back to what you said about Saban being involved in every aspect when he feels he needs to step in and teach. But Jeremy Pruitt, very good defensive coordinator that was at Georgia last year. McKinnis punting to Xavier Marks. Not a good kick, but it takes a Kentucky bounce down to the 23. Take a look at this week's college football rankings brought to you by Allstate, the AP Top 10. Man, did Washington put one on Stanford last night. Michigan knocked off Wisconsin, and Clemson just tied the game with Louisville. A 7-6. Got the extra point coming here for Clemson. How about Washington? We were all watching that game last night out to dinner. We did the Stanford-Washington game last year, and it looked like a mismatch. the other way. I mean, this was a blowout last night.
It was impressive. I mean, that's a young team that's playing for the Washington Huskies, but I thought they might be a year away. It appears as though they've arrived early because the amount in which they dominated the game. I mean, physically manhandled a very proud football team was so impressive.
And you wonder if that's now the Pac-12's only hope of getting into the college football playoff. Here's Ridley on the wide receiver screen, turns it upfield. It's hit hard at the 27-yard line. It's amazing that Christian McCaffrey got 233 total yards, but still no touchdowns in true road games. And Jake Browning, another solid effort at quarterback for UW.
He's very solid. Only a true sophomore. He plays wise beyond his years.
Hurts on 2nd and 6, finds Jacobs out of the backfield. Jacobs makes the defender miss. Another guy goes down. Jacobs all the way to midfield. Let's go to Adnan in the studio. All right, Adnan, here it's 24-3. Kentucky trailing the #1 team in the country. And the Tide back in Wildcat territory. Here's a little pitch to Ridley that goes down as a completion. And Ridley brought down after a minimal gain.
You can see Lane Kiffin making a concerted effort to get Calvin Ridley the football here in the second half. If I'm not mistaken, that's already his 4th or 5th catch. And it's obviously very early in the second half. He hasn't been quite as dynamic this year compared to where he left off last year. Part of that has to do with the true freshman quarterback and being a little inconsistent throwing the football down the field.
Alabama going to run it here. Jacobs dragging a defender who has him at the ankle, picks up 3. We had a good conversation with Lane Kiffin yesterday, and with the opening at LSU and perhaps some other big schools with openings, maybe even in season. At some point Lane Kiffin's going to get another shot. Not saying it's going to be at LSU, but he told us, he's been humble and that he's learned a lot. He'll take several things that he's learned from Nick Saban and how he runs the program and incorporate that into his next opportunity. Of course, he comes from the Pete Carroll School, which is basically a 180-degree difference from how Saban does things. Both effective, of course, as Dieter gets inside the 35-yard line for a first down.
And Lane Kiffin said the biggest thing he's learned from Nick Saban is he is the same guy every single day. Doesn't matter who the opponent is, how the team played, win, lose. Nick Saban, you know exactly what you're going to get. That consistent approach is a big reason why Alabama, over the last decade, has been remarkably consistent across the top of college football.
There are a lot of people that didn't think the marriage would work between Saban and Kiffin. Their 3rd year together, obviously won the national championship. Kiffin got chewed out by Nick Saban a couple games ago, but that's happened to everybody, as you pointed out. Here's Hurts for the 25, coming up just short of the first down marker. This is from a few weeks back against Western Kentucky.
I think Lane Kiffin was just in the wrong place at the wrong time right there, because he was trying to make a point that you play 60 minutes. The offense turned it over, turned it into points for Western Kentucky. Lane Kiffin heard about it.
Scarborough able to keep himself in bounds and in the end zone for the Alabama touchdown. May have stepped out of bounds. Ruling in the field as a touchdown. Let's see.
You could see the right side of his right foot right there on the white stripe. They're going to take a look at this. All scoring plays are reviewed.
A touchdown. The previous play is under review.
Every play reviewed in college football. We got the video center back in Birmingham corroborating with the replay official here.
Very close.
Has to be indisputable video evidence to overturn it. And boy, again, it looks like he's out, but Can you tell for sure? Is the heel down there with the left foot?
It looks like he's out to me. I think he's probably out. It looks like Alabama's probably going to get 1st and 10 at about the 10 or 12 yard line, depending on where that foot crossed over that line. It was a great job, great effort, obviously, by the 230-pound running back, tight roping the sideline, but it does look as though they might be bringing this one back.
Greg, you talked about how Lane Kiffin has learned from Nick Saban about just attention to detail and being the same every week. I mean, when you walk through the facility, even on your way to the facility at Alabama, you see how much attention to detail there is. We saw Nick Saban's car parked facing the facility, and then when we left practice, it was turned around in the same parking spot facing the other way, so that it would take a few seconds less for Saban to actually leave the parking lot.
It might take 3 more seconds, but that's 3 more seconds he could be doing something to allow the team to win. That's the way he thinks. Every single I is dotted and T is crossed when it comes to putting this team on the field every Saturday.
After review, the ruling on the field is reversed. The runner stepped at the 12. The ball was at the 11-yard line when he stepped out at the 12. Clock operator, please reset the game clock to 5:36. 5:36, please. Thank you.
So this is pregame, and at first I wasn't sure if he was going to honor Les Miles by eating the grass, but he was just checking the wind here and talking about it with his security detail. Because again, this is 2 hours. It's 5:03 Eastern time, 2 hours before kickoff. Getting a feel for the wind and how it might blow once kickoff happens.
And what's classic, after lunch every single day before they're getting ready to practice, he'll go out like that and walk on the practice fields, determining which field they're going to be on based on how good the grass looks and how the wind's blowing, among other things. So he has a routine, and he sticks to that routine regardless of what's going on for the football team.
Hey, Dave, don't we have somebody turn your car around at the end of each game here?
Yeah, McElroy. He's the rookie.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
That's right.
So 1st and 10 from the 11-yard line after the touchdown is reversed. Hurts. Oh, what a play to get away from the defender. And then pushed out at the 4-yard line. O.J. Howard, by the way, is back in there for Alabama. Just took out 3 guys blocking downfield.
A great avoid right here. Little naked, gets his head around. That's exactly what you have to do because there's unblocked defenders behind you. He obviously puts that foot in the ground, avoids, stopping on a dime.
That right there, guys, is the evolution of the Alabama offense. That's the one dynamic that this offense has been lacking that is going to, at least for the next 2 to 3 years, forever change the look of this football team.
If I'm the quarterback there, it's a sack fumble.
I was going to say it, but I decided because you're my pal, I would refrain.
You're a good pal.
So with a timeout, let's check in with Adnan. And here it's 24-3 Alabama. Now, I remember Tom Rinaldi joking with Nick Saban after he won the national title, like, are you going to enjoy this at all? Does he enjoy it when you guys won the national championship, or is it on to the next game, even if it's 9 months later?
I'll remember it vividly. I mean, look, so what's next? That's what he always says. I remember sitting in the locker room after having beaten Texas, national champs, have the crystal ball in my possession, and he says to the team, he says, you know what? Guys, I'm proud of you. Seniors, thank you. Thank you for what you did. Thank you for restoring. That's not the way we play in the second half. He is very much dialed in to improvement and making sure the individuals not only do better on the football field, but also in life.
That was the first of 4 Nick Saban championships here at Alabama. This is the previous play. They're looking to see if the knee was down here. It looks like, yeah, it is. It's down. So
it's a good eye by the replay official.
And now that you've been back here, Greg, and in a different role, obviously, broadcasting and being around the program, you talked about his consistency. Do you see any difference from 7 years ago?
No, it's the same. Facilities are a little nicer. Now, no doubt about that. Waterfalls and 50-foot wide cold tubs. It's not something that we had on a regular basis, but it's very, very consistent.
After review of the play, the quarterback's knee was down at the 19-yard line. It'll be second down, Alabama at the 19-yard line.
So another call on the field is reversed, so that'll put the ball back at the 19-yard line.
Hey, Greg, when Dave asked you about, does Coach ever enjoy winning? Is he going to smile? Does he take it in stride? I'm not so sure that his greatest enjoyment doesn't come from the day-to-day process that leads to that win or leads to that championship, more so than the championship itself.
That's what the process is all about, Lugs. I mean, he tries to get every single individual on the football team to focus on each individual step, each day, each play, each series. You have to focus on what's directly in front of you, and the results will eventually allow you to be successful. That's what he always tries to implement. He loves the preparation, he loves the recruiting, and that's why he's built one of the best programs in college football.
So much of what Nick Saban learned and the type of person he is, it's Bill Belichick, and having worked with Belichick with the Cleveland Browns when he was Bill's defensive coordinator there. And you talk to players who played for Saban like yourself and other guys who played for Belichick.
Yeah.
Very similar personalities, very similar in terms of how they run their programs.
Well, what's so I think that makes him so good is that he's willing to change. And so many times we see coaches that are just going to keep doing exactly what they always did. That's part of the reason why Les Miles is no longer the coach of the LSU Tigers. He recognized what the rules allow in college football. He went and hired Lane Kiffin, and now you see a new-look Alabama offense.
Hurts on 2nd and 18, zips it to Ridley, pulls it in for the Alabama touchdown.
What a great throw right here. Big in the pocket, great arm strength there to the corner. It says, hey, Calvin, go ahead and wear this one. I'm going to put it right there on the 3. Calvin Ridley doing a nice job. Probably could have had a pass interference there on Westry. Securing the catch, being strong with his hands, and scoring yet another touchdown.
That's the 10th catch of the day and the second touchdown for Ridley. You think that Jalen Hurts can sling it? How about Tom Luganville in our 2 QBs and a patch segment? We're here at Alabama yesterday. We put a bucket right in front of that Greg McElroy 2009 championship team, and look at Luke's, puts it right in.
It's well done. The only knock I have on Luke's, I thought he'd act like he'd been there before, and then I remember, and then he crosses my name out. How kind. Oh, sure.
Did you finish third? Because I know I hit the front of the bucket. Did you hit the bucket at all?
I did hit the bucket.
Congratulations.
I think that they probably gave you the silver medal, though, if I were to say.
Hey,
just because
I can't remember the last time I was here. I'm too old.
Oh my goodness.
The kid still has it.
I lost on my home field, and that really bums me out. And
did I get? Hey, how about it? How about closing within 1 point?
We're out there taping that for an hour, and they show 15 seconds.
Took Lugs an hour to make it.
Hey, at least he got it in.
That's a good point.
King out to the 27. We go to Adnan in the studio. Adnan was laughing as if he's thinking he could have beat you too, Greg.
I think he probably would have had a real good chance.
Were you nervous? Because there was a crowd of people watching.
I was nervous.
By the way, that Walk of Champions is awesome, though.
Very nice. Very nice. That was something that they implemented in 2006 before my freshman year. They did a wonderful job with it.
Hand off to Snell. Rips through an arm tackle in the secondary and gets the first down of the 40, a 12-yard run for true freshman Benny Snell.
I like Benny Snell. He's really kind of jumped off the tape. He's a big body, He's square shoulders, loves to get downhill. These running backs for Kentucky, now they're going against a great defense. Naturally, hasn't been a lot of room, but that's a good unit that they can lean on as they move forward.
There's Johnson to the air, and the catch is made by Garrett Johnson, wrapped up and suplexed by Reuben Foster.
Reuben Foster says, "You're not down? I'll put you down, my friend." Good job staying wrapped up. So many times in college football we see guys lead with their shoulder, not wrap up. Good fundamental tackle right there, finishing by the talented linebacker for the Crimson Tide.
The defense that lost 6 starters from a year ago, yet among the best, if not the best, in college football. 31-3, the Tide in front. Another run play. Snell close to a first down. There's a penalty flag down.
Holding offense, number 71. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Remains second down.
You know, guys, this was a tall order for Mark Stoops, obviously coming in. Plus, your left tackle, Cole Mosier, is out again. So you got a true freshman at left tackle. Your best receiver, Dorian Baker, has barely played this year. You got a backup quarterback. Yet, we're continuing to see progress by Mark Stoops in this Kentucky program. You hope that they stick with Stoops after this year. I know there's been a lot of discussion, but clearly they're headed in the right direction. And where that direction leads, we don't know, because you're in the SEC. It's obviously hard to compete. But they're much better than where they were when he took over.
There's no doubt about that.
Johnson on 2nd and 16, sacked by Williams. Ball is out and recovered by Kentucky as Conrad falls on it. Tim Williams, who did not play in the first half, perhaps suspended, made the sack.
Said, if I'm only going to play 30 minutes, I'm going to make sure you know I'm on the football field. Good job swimming underneath. We've seen him use multiple pass rushing techniques. Speed to power, pure speed. That time, little dip and rip underneath. Forces the fumble and an impossible 3rd and 32 for Kentucky.
They're just going to hand it off here to Snell. And he gets a few. Tomlinson and Tim Williams, who's fired up, makes the play, and this will be a punt for Kentucky.
Tim Williams, kind of quiet early in the season. Didn't do a whole lot the first few weeks. Teams have really made an emphasis to try to slow down these pass rushers. Both Tim Williams on one side, then you have Jonathan Allen inside, and of course Ryan Anderson on the other side. This might be the most athletic defense Nick Saban's ever had.
Really? Wow. That's saying something. Marks will let this one hop, then take it on the 36. Go backwards. Gets a block. And gets to midfield. Stream every college football game live on the ESPN app and on Watch ESPN. Download the app or visit watchespn.com today. Great way to check out the top 10 throwdowns. Louisville Clemson going on over on ABC. Washington thumped Stanford last night. Michigan knocked off Wisconsin earlier today. 14-7 the Wolverines won. Did you see they had a formation where they had 10 guys lined up in the I? Now obviously they shifted. You had too many guys in the backfield if you snapped the ball. But Jim Harbaugh, not sure what he was doing there, but I had never seen that before. First top 10 win for Michigan since 2008.
I think there's plenty more to come for Jim Harbaugh. They're very physical. They're great on defense. And they beat a very good football team today in Wisconsin.
Now Wisconsin crushed Michigan State last week. Hurts going for Ridley, and the pass is on target inside the 10-yard line. A beautiful throw by Jalen Hurts.
Great throw. Eyes to the left, holding that free safety. He knows he's got one-on-one on the outside. Perfectly thrown football to the outside as well. Lane Kiffin put his arms up before the pass was even caught. We've seen that before.
43-yard pass play, and now a run on 1st and goal. Jacobs takes it inside the 5.
Greg, have you noticed that the common denominator with the big plays through the air tonight, including touchdowns for Jalen Hurts, have been on the one-on-one down the sideline throws where he's not worried about progressions. Really smart by Lane Kiffin here.
They were going to go back to Jacobs there, but movement by Alabama.
False start. Offense. Number 73. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Stop me if you've heard this before. Another true freshman for Alabama. Lugs, I know you know recruiting like the back of your hand. This 2016 signing class, all true freshmen for Alabama, they're making an early impact on a talented team.
Well, they really are. I mean, this is a team, and it's not just Jalen Hurts. It's a number of players that they're integrating along with a lot of veterans. And when you're talented enough to get on the field as a freshman here, you're pretty talented.
Here's 2nd and goal. Hurts outside the pocket. Out of bounds after maybe a 1-yard pickup. Mike Edwards over there, and that ends the 3rd quarter. In Tuscaloosa, 31-3, Alabama. Hurts has thrown for 260 yards in this game. A couple of touchdowns to Calvin Ridley. It's all tied in Tuscaloosa. The end from T-Town, Alabama, all over Kentucky. And don't forget, after this, we got a Pac-12 game, Arizona UCLA. Then Sports Center at night with Lisa Kearney and John Bucci-Gross. Highlights from some great games in college football, exciting finishes, also the playoff races in baseball. Day 2 at the Ryder Cup. A look ahead to the NFL weekend. Also coming up, Sports Center at night, Lisa and John. So Alabama with a 3rd down and goal from the 6-yard line. True freshman quarterback Jalen Hurts going to throw it here. Fires end zone, and Ridley could not come up with it. Mike Edwards defending. I think Ridley just dropped that ball, though.
He did, but this was a tough catch. Ball was thrown a little low, but in great location. I'm not sure Calvin Ridley was able to see it. You could see the angle at it right there. I think the ball was on him so quickly, he couldn't get his hands up and prepare to make the play, even though he says, hey, it's on me. When you have a true freshman quarterback, you got to reel it in, especially when your feet are in the end zone.
So Adam Griffith on for a short attempt, 24 yards. He missed a 35-yarder earlier, but bangs this one home to make it 34-3. 34 straight points for Alabama. Clemson, of course, lost to Alabama in the national championship game last year. Expedia reminding you we're here in Tuscaloosa, Bryant-Denny Stadium. This SEC matchup between Kentucky and Alabama. Surprised at all to see Clemson up 21-7?
I'm not. That defense for Clemson has been so good the last few weeks. The offense and get on the same page, so it was only a matter of time.
That kickoff goes into the end zone. It's a touchback. Calvin Ridley, 173 yards and 2 scores.
11 receptions. Early in the game, this was the second play, and they try to get him the football, trying to involve him. So far, the last few weeks, hasn't had as many opportunities, especially down the field. But when they get in the red area, he's been huge. And he's been targeted, as you can see, 17 times. Lane Kiffin always does such a good job featuring his best route runner and pass catcher. Calvin Ridley's been that guy tonight.
Should have had a touchdown on the last possession. Had to settle for a field goal, dropped it in the end zone. Still a great night for Ridley. Here's JoJo Kemp getting maybe a yard, brought down by Sean Dion Hamilton. Tom is our ESPN National Recruiting Director. Obviously, you know Stephen Ridley well. What were your thoughts on him coming out of high school a couple of years ago?
You know, he was our top-ranked receiver overall in the class. And, you know, there were so many comparisons made to him and Amari Cooper, and obviously the instant impact that both had. But Calvin's faster. Calvin's like silk running on a cloud. I mean, it's unbelievable. He's so effortless in everything that he does. And I can see in this offense right now with how they're trying to develop their quarterback. Greg, you referenced it earlier. It can be a bit frustrating at times when maybe you don't have those vertical shots you were accustomed to a year ago. But that's going to come, and you're going to see more and more of those as the quarterback continues to develop.
And pardon me, I accidentally said Steven. Of course, I meant Calvin Ridley. Go ahead, Greg.
But yeah, I mean, Calvin Ridley, he's very smooth and elusive when he has the ball in his hands, but it's his route running that's so remarkable, Lugs. As a young man, as a young receiver, you'll see guys rush. You'll see guys not get their depth on their routes. He is always where he needs to be within the offensive scheme. And as a quarterback, you can rely and trust guys like that.
Kemp on the run, gets to the 48-yard line. First down, Kentucky.
I guess if Kentucky can't get any production right now to Steven Johnson, why not get the ball into Kemp's hands and go Wildcat every snap?
These running backs for Kentucky are good backs. And this was going to be a tall order tonight, no doubt about it. This Alabama defense is playing very well. But there are pieces here for the Kentucky Wildcats. There are brighter days ahead because of the way Mark Stoops has recruited, and now they have the facilities and everything you need to field a winning program.
Kemp gets a couple. They have the fewest seniors in college football. Only 11 seniors on their roster. And as we said earlier, for Mark Stoops, you hope they give him more time. You see where they've ranked from a recruiting standpoint. They had that 2014 class that they were ranked 20th, so they've dropped a little bit, but they're getting players just so hard.
You know what, Dave?
In the SEC.
I will say this, though. Bringing on Eddie Grand was a big component in recruiting. He's got distinct roots in South Florida. They've got 4 verbal commitments from South Florida right now. And that's huge for Kentucky to get down in there, because here's the issue with Kentucky's footprint. The state of Kentucky's not going to be able to provide your roster with enough talent just to recruit in-state. Then you border on Tennessee. That's the same issue. So you got to skip over into everybody else's backyard. The other positive for Kentucky is Mark Stoops and his background in the state of Ohio. There are several players, including Brandon Snell, including Dorian Baker, number 2, who's not playing tonight, all Ohio kids. That's important for the future of Kentucky football.
JoJo Kemp going to take the direct snap here on 3rd down and short. He muscles his way past the marker to move the chains to the 41.
And looking at Kentucky, Lugs, they're young. I mean, I think people came into the season expecting huge things defensively because that's where they excelled last year. But a lot of the guys that were out there in blue and white, they've departed. They lost 7 of their top 8 tacklers from a season ago. They're young along the offensive line. They're obviously young at quarterback. Drew Barker's been the starter. Obviously, Steven Johnson's the guy tonight. There are pieces in place here that you can grow with, but at this point, they got to quit making mistakes and catastrophic errors.
Yeah, it was really a 10-3 game until that defensive touchdown opened this game up. I mean, who knows if that doesn't happen? Obviously it did, but if it didn't happen, if Kentucky is able to hang in there for a little bit longer, but you just sense that it was so deflating, that defensive touchdown on the second turnover by Steven Johnson.
Luke's watching him, though, the first 3 weeks of the season, and then watching them last week against South Carolina, then watching them again tonight. The improvement is obvious. They've grown in areas in which they were deficient early on. So if they continue to grow and get better, there's no doubt about it, the goal for this team is to get to a bowl game.
It is, Greg, and the issue, as we see another handoff here to Kemp, is that losing that opener versus Southern Miss put them way behind the 8 ball, because that was a game that they blew. They had a distinct lead. They were in command of the game. And right now they're in a position where every single play, the margin of error for them is so minimal that they can't afford to blow opportunities in front of them. And you're right, this is a tall order tonight. But there are going to be other opportunities in close matchups where they have to make the right decisions. And they did that a week ago against South Carolina. They're going to have to find ways to do it again going forward.
Hey, the East is not as good as the West. Florida struggled today, hung on to beat Vanderbilt. Tennessee looks like the class of the SEC East, although the last 2 games against Florida and Georgia have not been easy for the Vols. Nick Saban is irate right now because Alabama had too many guys on the field.
Substitution defense, 12 in the formation. 5-yard penalty, third down.
As you said, it doesn't matter the score, the time of day. The opponent, his reaction is the same when you make a mental error like that.
And the players know it. And the players, he talks about 60 minutes. Doesn't matter what the score is. Could be up by a little, down by a little, up by a lot, down by a lot. Doesn't matter. You play to your standard.
I'll say this too, Greg. I think one of the reasons he's so upset is if you go back to one of the criticisms over the last maybe 3 to 4 years was Alabama's adjustment to tempo, adjustment to spread offenses. And if you go back over the last year, they've made significant advances and improvements there. And I think they've gotten over that hump. That's probably why he was so upset on that play.
Tim Williams in the backfield again with the takedown.
He's having a heck of a second half. Didn't play in the first half. But in the second half, you got multiple tackles for a loss. You have a sack. You have pressures. It goes to show you now, Lugs, how much a defensive player, particularly a defensive end, can take over a football game.
Wonder why the number 1 overall picks often are defensive ends.
2nd and 13 for Kentucky. Snell been in the backfield and turfed. Oh, guess Williams again.
Yeah. And he's unblockable. He's so quick. He's much stronger than a lot of people realize. He can beat you with multiple moves. He has really good hands, very long arms. And you see right here, I mean, just fighting right through the right tackle. Safo Ajayi had no chance. As a result, once again, Kentucky looking at 3rd and long.
And look out here, 56, bottom of your screen. They throw it to the other side. It's caught by King and tripped up at the 25-yard line, so he won't get the first down. Kentucky, you would imagine, would go for it here on 4th down.
You know what's amazing about Tim Williams, guys? And, we always think about Alabama going out and signing ready-made guys, instant impact type guys. Tim Williams was 200 pounds, soaking wet with rocks in his pockets coming out of high school. And this is what he has developed into one of the most fierce pass rushers in all of college football.
Now he looks like Khalil Mack of the Raiders. Pass is caught by Johnson, picking up the first down. So Steven Johnson, that'll give him some confidence as they move the sticks there through the air.
And you can see right there, lowering that right shoulder, almost gets a hit on the quarterback. Good job by Steven Johnson staying in there on 4th down and delivering a strike for a first down. Possessions like this for a team, they give you a lot of confidence as you move forward. Momentum builders, not necessarily for this game, but for next week's game and some of the weeks to come.
King swallowed in the backfield. Another tackle for a loss. That's 10 for Alabama in the game tonight. Jonathan Allen was there for the Crimson Tide. Again, Alabama's schedule coming up. They've got their next 2 on the road, at Arkansas, at Tennessee, then they're home to Texas A&M. Now think about this. It's only happened one time that Alabama has won 3 straight games against ranked teams. And we assume, looking at the schedules coming up, that all 3 of those teams will be ranked when Alabama plays them. Snell ready for the direct snap here for Kentucky. Pickup of 2. And of course, the Iron Bowl, that'll be here at LSU November 5th. So you got 4 difficult games in a row. It looked like a rejuvenated LSU team tonight over Missouri.
These next 3 games, at Arkansas, at Tennessee, and then Texas A&M at home, I think is the most difficult stretch that they'll have. Then they get a bye week, and then of course they go on the road to Baton Rouge. But the depth of this team will be tested over the next 3 weeks. Fortunately for them, they're about as deep as they come in college football.
Here's 3rd down and 7. Johnson hit, and the pass is incomplete. This will be the 14th time that they've had 3 in a row against ranked teams, and only once have they been able, in 1999 was the last time, they've been able to win all 3 games against ranked teams in consecutive weeks as Johnson got absolutely lit up.
Whoa, guys.
Rashaan Evans was there for Alabama along with Deshaun Hand.
That is not a sandwich that you like to see if you're a quarterback.
That requires a note from your mother to play there.
Right, no doubt. Maybe a new chin strap, too.
Kentucky is playing for some points here, knowing they have no shot to win the game. And field goal is good for Austin McGinnis, 34-6, Alabama.
And college football is presented by Hampton by Hilton. Book at Hampton.com for a guaranteed discount. And in part by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM.
It's all Alabama here in Tuscaloosa. The Tide in front, 34-6. Monday Night Football on ESPN, 8:15 Eastern Time. It's the Giants and the Vikings from the new U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. Our coverage starts with Monday Night Countdown at night is over. That Cooper Bateman will come in at quarterback when Alabama takes over on offense. As for the Tide defense, they've gone now 117-plus minutes without allowing a touchdown. The last touchdown they gave up was in the Ole Miss game. It's been 82-6. Alabama's outscored its opponents since. Tide about to win its 17th straight game, the longest win streak in college football, for heading on the road to play Arkansas next week. This will be it was going to be a touchback, and then Marks decides to run it out for some reason. I don't think that'll make Coach Saban too pleased. Field goal nets. All-State makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, All-State has contributed millions in scholarship funds. Kick off your Week 4 NFL Sunday on ESPN at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. It's NFL Insider Sunday edition, followed by the new Sunday NFL Countdown crew at 11. Getting you set for Week 4 of the NFL, culminating in Monday Night Football on ESPN between the Giants and Vikings. Cooper Bateman is in at quarterback. They're from Utah. Started one game a year ago. And he'll throw here to O.J. Howard. Gain of 1. Here's Adnan. Adnan for Deshaun Watson in the first half. So Cooper Bateman becomes the backup quarterback now to Jalen Hurts, with Blake Barnett, who started the opener against USC, announcing this week that he's leaving. He's going to transfer. Just going to run it here on 2nd and 9. First, before we get to Bateman, guys, what did you think of Blake Barnett's decision and the timing of it to transfer?
I strongly disagree with it. He quit on his team. You finish what you started. Leave, depart. Even though you've played in every game, you're getting plenty of reps. And by the way, you're one snap away. And in the SEC, things happen. He could have been the starter if anything were to happen to Jalen Hurts, and he decides to go elsewhere. I understand he wants to leave because he lost a quarterback competition to someone in the same grade, same age. But leaving 4 games in is inexcusable, and I can't overlook it.
I don't think you're the only one that felt that way, given the number of people we talked to on campus this week about that decision by Blake Barnett. We'll have more on that on the other side of this break. It's NFL Insider Sunday edition. All the injury news, fantasy updates, and much more. Then at 11, Chris Berman and company, the new Sunday NFL Countdown crew, leading you up to the early games on Sunday. We welcome you back to ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by Hampton by Hilton. It's 34-6, Alabama leads Kentucky. And before the break, Greg, you were talking about you disagreed with Blake Barnett's decision to transfer from Alabama. as Diggs catches it out of the backfield here. Gets the first down. Finish.
If he wants to leave in December or January at the end of the regular season or after the bowl game, by all means. Nobody would question that decision. But to leave 4 games in when you're the backup and you're still playing every single week, I completely disagree with it. And I know a lot of people feel that way, that have played the game, coached the game, and have been around the game, Lugs.
Well, there's no question about it. I'd be really concerned about who's advising him. Because if anybody in their right mind looked at this and really not even had to go deep into some different layers, look at it from the surface. This was not a good, well thought out plan. And there's this little known, what people are calling loophole in the NCAA guidelines, which if you talk to different compliance coordinators, they'll give you different interpretations of that rule, but essentially saying that if he were to leave now, try and enroll in a quarter system somewhere, from a calendar year standpoint, he could be ready to play immediately next fall, 4 or 5 weeks into the season. So what are we saying then? We're saying that some school's just going to let their guy play for 4 or 5 weeks and then pull him off and Blake Barnett all of a sudden gets to play? It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem next to leaving your team 4 games into a season is there's no guarantee that you're going to be the guy week 5 next year,
right?
A lesser school than Alabama.
It's not like he's Tom Brady, where they're just going to keep the seat warm for you for 4 games, and you're just going to go right in week 5 and be the man.
This is a talented young man. Blake Barnett is talented. Both Nick Saban, Lane Kiffin acknowledged that. They liked what he brought to the table, and with the way Jalen Hurts plays football, guys, he's going to take some shots. It's a long season. You're 1 play away.
Well, the coaching staff had no idea either. They did not see this coming.
Yep.
It wasn't as if there were rumblings that he was unhappy with his role, which I'm sure he was. He wasn't starting anymore, but Jacobs inside the 35-yard line. But then there's some guys that are going to say, well, there are plenty of other players do it at the end of the year, and there are coaches that do it at the end of a season. So why, since he has the freedom to make that decision, what does it matter? He's not playing anyway.
But that's the operative language. End of the season. That's the biggest difference. If he did this in December, by all means, I'd applaud him. I'd say absolutely. You know what? Go somewhere. Go earn a job elsewhere. You're a fantastic player. You have a great future. Still firmly believe those things. But the timing, doing it at the end of September and not alerting your coaches as to whether or not you're unhappy or if you're doing it at all, I disagree with the way he handled it.
B.J. Emmons pinballing forward. A couple of yards here. Alabama trying to run off the clock.
And now you know what, though, guys? Cooper Bateman's going to benefit. And David Cornwell is going to benefit. And at some point or another, they're going to need either one of them or both of them. And that could have been Blake. And listen, I agree with you, Greg. And December, January week will even help you.
I have a little trouble there with Luke's mic. I'm going to go with you, too. Look, it clearly sends the wrong message across the board in college football that you're able to do this mid-season and then go
no problem
play somewhere else 5 games into the next year. Emmons bounces off of a couple of tacklers, and that might be the final play, but it's a microcosm of how this day went with Alabama overpowering Kentucky here tonight in Tuscaloosa. Bama will start 5-0 for the 8th time since 2008. It's 15 straight wins against the SEC East for Alabama, and overall, their FBS leading 17th consecutive win. Next up, back-to-back road games at Arkansas, at Tennessee, before returning home to Tuscaloosa on the 22nd.